Okay, and we are live. So, hi everyone, and welcome back to Thanks for Holding, the show where we talk about how modern consumer brands actually grow in today's fragmented commerce landscape. So, I'm Hugo, founding engineer at 14AI, and I'm joined today by Marie, CEO of 14AI. Hello, Marie.
Good morning from San Francisco.
Hey. So, today we are on hold with Kendall Dickieson, social media and influencer strategy expert and founder of Flexible Creative, to talk about how top brands are building socials and influencer programs that actually drive sales. Kendall has worked with leading brands like Graza, Canopy, Chubby Snacks, and is also an investor in MrBeast's Feastable brands. So, welcome, Kendall.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you
you
for having
for being
me.
with us today.
This is my first LinkedIn live.
Wow,
Woo!
that's nice. We're very happy to have you for your very first LinkedIn Live. That's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So yeah, let's dive in.
Let's do
I
it.
wanted to start this LinkedIn Live with the very first question I have on top of my head. Uh, like many brands, and we've seen a lot that are chasing virality, but very few are translating this into like actual revenue. And when does, according to you, like when does a social program actually becomes a sales engine instead of just like visibility alone?
Yeah. I think, oh man, it's a really good question because I think you can make something a sales engine even early on. It's just like I was scrolling last night, as we all do, too late at night, and I I came across I came across a post how like it's true that the modern like playbook is changing of like it's not like we'll launch the email list when we launch. It's like we started the email list 7 months ago or like before launch. And it's like everything happens like before the launch now. And I think like working on, a lot of the brands that I work on that you mentioned, some of them were like day one,
Mhm.
like, or actually day zero. So like Graza, for example, I started on like 3 months, 3.5 months before launch.
Mhm.
Um, Canopy, I started on before launch,
Mhm.
but then some I like come in and they're like 15 years old, and it's obviously like a way different like format, to say the least. And so I think like two truths can be true at once of like depending on where you're at within your company. It's like, has social not been working for you as a sales engine, then in the case it's like a content switch and like how you're communicating to your like ICP, as long as you know the profiles that you're actually trying to talk to.
Yeah.
And then on on the side of like if you're a newer brand who like hasn't even launched yet, you have like all the leverage to like build up the hype to create demand. And then I think it's like it depends on how we want to define a sale, like a sellable like channel. So it's like sellable in as the byproduct of like, okay, we like did a bunch on social leading up to launch to drive to pre-order so that we can convert through email then for sure. But I think there's still like the general, I still at least like share the general sentiment that like social can still be a driver for sales, but I don't think it's fair for like founders, hot take, I don't think it's fair for founders to say like, why are like half our sales not coming from social, or
Mhm.
like we have no money like coming in, it's social's fault. Like I think there's a lot of levels to that one that I don't think people want to like look in the mirror at, but yep.
And we are speaking about founders, and
Yeah.
sometimes they start like doing one-off collaborations with some creators on TikTok. At what stage do you think it's best to have a structured program for creators?
Mhm.
Oh, always. Like it should always have structure. Like it should, like I think I actually, the call I was just on, we were just talking about like we're just restructuring like the entirety of the program because
Mhm.
the brand I've been working with, been with them for like 6 months. I run their seeding program. But I was like, seeding after a certain period of time, like it's fun, but I'm like, I need more. I like, cause right, like founders are like, we need more conversion or etc. So now it's like, okay, now we launched the affiliate program and now we're running that as like a byproduct to seeding and trying to get a feedback loop there. And then the other side is like, hey, we used to run paid partnerships like very scarcely. Like we like this person, pay them. We like this person, pay them. Like, but like once every 2 months, didn't really follow through on it, like, etc. So I was like, what if we just did sprints, mini ICP campaigns for the next like 90 days? So like 5 paid partnerships per month, short list, like full process. There's a short list, there's approval, there's like everything that needs to happen so that like I know what the return needs to be and like I can confidently say like this is what it did. So like I'm someone where it's like it should always have structure. I think the level of detail you want to give to it can depend on where you're at within your lifetime as a company. If you're like a founder doing it, obviously you have a bunch of other stuff to balance. So you maintain your own structural integrity, I guess, or how little or how much you want to have. And then I think though, it's like, even with Graza, like everything was still getting approved. I work on Frida and like, you know, like I have 2 other people who work alongside me and I have 1 person I like report into, and I have to also show the president of the company, like who I'm going after. So like, there's a lot that has to like go into it.
Yeah.
And can you share more about some important details for these creator programs?
Yeah. Let's see, important details. Create a brief, because I think one question, which seems like so crazy that I even have to say that. But I think like one question that I get asked a lot is like, we brief to the creators, but we're not getting stuff that we want per se, or it's not like hitting the nail on the head. I think there's also like context I'm missing, candidly, from when I get those questions of like, did you brief them or did you not brief them? Did you say, we want a video of you doing this? Or was it like pinpointed? Was like, just, I don't know where it's getting broken. So yeah, I would say it's like, have a detailed brief and like give creative liberty at the same time, so that you're not getting like, it looks like someone's being like held hostage, like trying to film this video. I would say another thing as well is, let's see, like try and plan for like people you want to do long-term partnerships with. Like don't look at like the one, there's obviously going to be people who are really good for like a one-off, because like maybe they're like trending right now and you just want to like get them into your ecosystem. But I think it's like, if you're a brand, you want to be able to like support people who like will keep supporting you over the course of like your lifespan. Let's see. And another one I would say is, if you're like have a creator program with an affiliate backend. So like an ambassador let's call it an ambassador program, or like affiliate influencer affiliate. You have to like communicate with them to let them know what's going on within the company. So like, it's really important to me of making sure that like, if you are in a program that at least I'm running, that like you're getting like a newsletter from like the brand, so from me or whoever's writing it, of like what we have coming up, what we're working on. Maybe we want them to be the first to try a new product. Like, how do we make them feel like they're actually part of something? And then 2 is like, 1, do you need more of the product that you like promoting? So like making sure like they are stocked up like consistently. But yeah, it's just like being a human being like to them, because like you're trying to form a relationship. I think too many brands are like completely losing sight still, which is like unfortunate. Yeah.
I wanted to come back to the playbook that you mentioned at first. So you said the playbook has changed like a lot since like a couple of years now. You're starting right away. Like the sales channel never ends. Basically, like you start the newsletter like months before you launch the product. So how do you manage those expectations? Like how do you prepare beforehand? Because we've seen like it can create a lot of frustration among people. So how like what is the lifespan?
It's a very good question.
Yeah. So
I think I feel like there's also multiple levels to it, because I think some people I think it's like some brands, and that's the thing, like I'm cognizant of like I am someone who I like working on multiple things at once. That's why I do what I do. I don't think I could like only work on one thing because my brain likes to jump around too much, or I would end up taking over like a whole sector of something if I was like in-house. But I recognize that like not everyone is also built like that, and that there are people who are built like that, but like are getting crushed under like the weight of expectation, but also like aren't given a voice, or like aren't given an environment for right now of where they can speak up to say that they need more support to like do their job well. Because it's like with like AI and everything like coming in, it is obviously a little bit harder to like set expectation correctly, because it's like you can increase your output, but it's like there's certain, you can't like increase the output of like human connection through AI always. So there's like certain things that like I'm hearing these days that like, you know, I'm a fan of automating workflows and like helping things where they can be helped. But I think there's also like limitations of like where people want to know that humans exist. So anyway, I think that it is like taking the time to actually like lay out the strategy, because I feel like when I come on to some brands, or I hear of some brands, that the playbook, there is like no playbook at all, which is fine within the context of themselves. But that obviously like the playbook might exist from other brands before them, or like vertically adjacent or laterally adjacent to them. But I feel like for the most part, it's that most people like don't take time to like build the strategy. Like for Graza, it took me like 2 months to build, just like working on a deck, like, and like with iteration, like this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking for launch. This is what I'm thinking for the influencer side. This is like the niches I want to go after. Because then it's like for the next 90 days, like no one asked me a question, like respectfully, like no one asked me a question around it, unless you have like a general curiosity, or like you do want to challenge something I'm doing, which I'm like always game for. I love feedback. But at the same time, I think there's like, here's what I'm going to do, and I'll report into you with like the updates on it. And if I'm missing something, you at least know why. It's not just because it's like not getting done.
And even if you don't have any playbook, how much of like your work for a specific brand you think is like relatable to any other brands you're working with? Like,
oh my gosh, that's such a good question. No, it's a funny time that you're getting me at, because like I started working on a tech company.
Oh,
It's my first one, and which I say with like a lot of like, I am learning so much, and I am like being severely humbled, in the best way. But it's consumer hardware within the tech space, and it's a company called Sandbar. And I'm a huge fan of the product. I believe in it so much. It's like I can't live without it. But at the same time, like, you know, when I got approached for this, my gut reaction is like, I don't work in tech.
Yeah.
My gut reaction is like, I don't work in tech. I don't think I can do this. But I've also have always preached, when I have conversations with clients or future clients, where I'm like, if I'm up against 2 agencies, when this whole thing for the last 9.5 years has just been myself as one person, but I'm up against a 14-person agency, like I have to be like, I am a believer, candidly, that like you can take same principles apply within like social and influencer, but you have to get like super creative of how you apply them. And sometimes it takes you just a little bit longer when you're changing the vertical that you're in or the company that you're on to like apply that playbook. So yeah, it's like been really interesting of like, how do I go from always been like selling like food and beauty and wellness products to like selling consumer hardware and like pushing pre-order, and like it is fascinating. But baby steps. So yeah, I just think like there is still a way to be doing it and still instill it, but like you need to also be fine with knowing that like if you test stuff that it might not work. And I think that once again goes back to like setting expectation of like, we're okay posting these things because it's just it needs to exist to have our message out there, but we're totally fine if it like doesn't like pop off consistently. So I think it's just a communication thing. Yeah.
We have a question from Michael. How do brands turn one viral moment into long-term growth rather than just a short spike?
Ooh. All right. So I think there are a few ways of going about it, because I also think I love playing devil's advocate on certain questions. So it's like, right, it's like viral is so relative, because like viral can be 200 million views, which is technically viral, but then it can also be like relative to the size of the company. So like you might have a brand with 5,000 followers, but they got a video with like 500,000 views, and so to them that feels viral, and like et cetera, et cetera. But I think it all leans into like, I'm trying to think of a recent example right now. Of course it's not gonna hit me. But I would say even like, you know, I don't work on Graza anymore, but I spent a long part of my life on it. But I think like their team did a really good job when their mayo release happened and the aioli release happened. Like technically they weren't prepared for the launch, because it got technically, like what you can assume on social is that it got leaked by some outlets. And so they had to like quickly put together this video to like garner their moment of being spoken about, which technically was like garnering attraction and like views across other people's platforms that like they're launching this product. And therefore they created this like conceptual video of like, it was the trend of like when you're editing, you're like, when you pretend you're like on a reality TV show and it's like dun 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 dun, and it's like them going into Whole Foods and like trying to find the mayo on the shelf and like, why is it out, and like it's not even supposed to be out yet, and like all this stuff. But they were able to like keep leaning into it because it like started helping support their content strategy. So I think it's like knowing I think it's like a dissection of leveraging the data and like being really obsessed with like, why did the thing work? And then like, was it the hook, or what product was it? If you sell multiple products, like Craig Hill, which is like an I don't know the best way to like describe them, but they're like a very design forward, like artistic company. Craig Hill creates like really cool products around design, but like everyone's obsessed with this like one pair of scissors, like primary colored scissors. And like for them, it's just that like people love learning about, they know that people love learning about the design of how their things come together. They know that they love like seeing specifically every single time they do the scissors, this is something that pops. So it could be as simple as like when we talk about X product, when we show X clip and like opener. But I think there's ways to test into it using like trial reels and stuff like that to like get more distribution on leveraging that. And then also like, is there a moment that can come out of that? Like, does a product come out of it? Like a riff on a product? Like we've seen so many brand collaborations be born out of like days like April Fool's Day, where like I'm someone who I don't use April Fool's Day. Sometimes I use it for what it is. For me, it's product development testing. If we're actually thinking about doing something or a collaboration. Oh yeah. Like if it's like can be real and like we can actually do it, like I'm so down to like try and like tease it. So like I have like I have like a client I used to work on with a client I work on now, creating a line of products. They're two Whole Foods brands coming together, and like Whole Foods knows that we're doing this like spoofed product already, and like we're making like a 3-pack line of like something. I can't say it yet.
Mhm.
But like you would think that they were completely real or coming out, but it's like we have a teaser planned. We have like a fake retail announcement planned. We have like all this stuff. So yeah, I think it's just how you want to lean into it, maximize it. It's a long
That's
answer. Sorry.
Oh, this strategy is really interesting. Yeah, I see what you mean. I was curious, like, to get back to this like viral moment. Like, okay, we can leverage this, but how much do you think a brand should leverage this in terms of like the like building some kind of like format that they're going to reproduce like frequently versus like still experimenting and still having like a lot of like diversity in their account and not like just overfitting on one single format? Like, what do you think should be the strategy? Is it more like once you find like the perfect format and it goes viral, then you double down on this, or should you also have like more entropy, I would say, to your content so that you
Yeah.
have diversity?
I still believe that you need content diversity because I think it's too easy to get like lost in the sauce of like always diving into the thing. I think there's like certain principles that you can take from the thing that worked and then try to apply it to like other things that you want to talk about.
Mhm.
So but yeah, I feel like I even went through like one of the kind of like ruts of it too of like
Mm.
went into something that like worked a lot, but I also like didn't have the support to like do the content differentiation. So sometimes you just have to like pick and choose your battles of like I know what's working. But now it's like now I'm trying to over index on the thing that was missing because
Mm.
now I have that support to like go and do it because then now I like hired people to do it. So but yeah, I'm like always a fan of differentiation when you can, but I also like I think it also goes back to and maybe it's just from our own way of knowing what like happens because we see it all on LinkedIn and people talking about it. But it is like the expectation of like someone being the person who is the producer, the strategist, the poster, the all this stuff where it's like they can't even differentiate anything because they're like blurring their own lines so significantly because they're like working in and on everything all at once where like in reality it should be easier because you see both sides, but it's harder because you're consistently doing something, so you don't get thinking time. I'm like biased. I'm a little biased in that. But I don't want to speak for everyone who works in social, but I think like, you know, eventually there comes a point where you can only be in and on it so much where you need to pull that support in, which is why I think we see like everyone knows content is so important, which is why we're seeing more of these like content producer junior roles or like VaynerMedia, for example, is like hiring for like sheditors, which are like people who can like shoot and edit and just like quickly make content. So like Wingstop works with Vayner, which is like public information, but like I was like going through to like see this job description and I saw that like Wingstop works with Vayner and that like people who work at Vayner are like starting to be grouped as this like title called a shedditor. And it's something that one of my clients also like flagged to me. So like shout out to her because she was like, have you heard of like a shedditor? And I'm like, shedditor? What is that? But now it makes sense. But it's like, yeah, we're just seeing like people want quick turnaround and you can't do that when you're like the one person doing like 16 other things and then you end up like not being able to produce what you want. So then the expectation with whoever you work for or work with is like why can't we do this? And in reality it's because like I don't have the resourcing. But some people take that as an excuse and it's not. So I'm also saying
And we have a question from Anushka. When trying to get influencers to partner with you and promote your product, how do you approach them?
I think it's number one, like my thing has always been that if I'm reaching out from like a brand account, I want it to feel like I'm talking to a friend already. And also like quick thing is that not my background, but like since I've been doing this, I also used to be a creator. So it's like I've been on the side of brands reaching out to me. And I guess now with like doing like more personal brand stuff, I'm like kind of back in that seat. But it's like people can like smell BS or like just smell like, oh, you're just reaching out to me. Like I still get messages from people who want to like send a PR package to my old like food Instagram account, and like the name is like in brackets and it says like first name. And I'm like, it's 2026. Like this like should not be a thing. And so to me, it's like talking to them like they're already a friend. It's like being social. I preach it like all the time, and it's in like every single deck I ever make for anyone ever. It is like you have to be social on social. So I think it's also like, what are you doing to show that like you already support them, or like that like you have intrigue into what they do. And then I would say if I'm reaching out to someone cold through email for like a paid partnership campaign, then it's still the same thing of like there's like proof that like they either support, depends on the scale of the brand, but it's like maybe there's proof they've already been like a long-term lover of the product. Like it's just the small things. I think people just want to know that you like pay attention to the minute details sometimes. So yeah, that would be like my feedback. I'm just, yeah, I mean, when I think it got written about a few times when I was at Graza, but like my whole thing and my shtick was that like I took it across every client ever, but I never reached out to people to send them olive oil. Like it was signed off with my name, but like there was no like, hey, like my name is blank and like I would love to send you olive oil, and that's it. And let me know your address. Like it was, there was like 3 different prompts. It was like, just the main one I'll say, but it was like, how much easier would your life be if olive oil already came in a squeeze bottle? Because it's a rhetorical question. Like you're gonna, if you cook a lot, you're just gonna be like, yep. And I'm like, send me your address. And then that was like literally that was like literally it. Like it was like, okay, cool, bye. Like so easy. And people would be like, is that a pickup line? And I'm like, yeah, it works. Like so like that's how I treat it, like that, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how do you think AI can help with these creator programs?
Yeah, I think a lot of it can help with, you know, obviously a lot of the tools that I personally use are starting to like implement AI, but I think like when it comes to social listening and signaling, and paying attention to like what you're being tagged in. So like I have dashboards where it's like, what is the brand getting tagged in? Where are we being mentioned? I'm also seeing that a lot of the platforms lately, it's like, how can brands, they're supporting how more brands can be social. So it's like signaling like, here are like top performing posts within your niche that you should maybe engage with, from like creators. I think overall within like work stream though, it is like, obviously like identification is becoming smoother, sourcing. I'm someone where it's like sourcing, if you know how to do it, it's a hard job. Like I think too many people are like, I found 1,000 creators, and you click through them and it's like, no, you didn't. And so sourcing itself is a hard job, but I think like being able to like streamline that and like get more clear on like, I'm looking for creators in this specific demographic who live in this specific city. Like it's like cheaper. It's cheaper now to be able to have access to be able to do that versus paying like so much money to larger tech platforms. And then also just like the streamline of like, for example, like I'm a newly converted whisper flower. So I would say like I held off for so long. But I like Whisperflow obviously helps me right now because it's like I can answer emails faster if it's like quick turnaround with certain things, or Claude with like, you know, I want to find out how can I streamline seeding, for example. Like, is there a way where when the DM comes in, there's a way for it to be pulled out of Instagram and desktop to be put into a sheet already? Like, is there an agent that can like somehow like connect this? so that like I save time and I don't have to like keep slacking addresses into like a Slack channel.
Yeah.
But then I have clients who like built their own software bots in Slack to like automate orders. So when I put in an address every day at like 3 p.m., the bot is like registering the orders into Shopify.
Mhm.
So like I think there's this ways where it is saving like hours and hours of time. And yeah.
Yeah.
And you spoke about sourcing creators. What has been your learnings with sourcing?
Yeah, I would say that my learnings with sourcing are that like, let's see, there's a lot. My learnings with sourcing are that you're always better off overestimating how many people that you need versus under. I would say that you can't count on everyone to say yes to you. So like you have to over index on it. But I think that's honestly probably like my biggest takeaway. I feel like people are like, we have to send out 50 things this month. And it's like, here's 50 people. And I'm like, you need like 200.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But you said, like, for example, someone tells you, like, okay, I found leads, but no, those influencers are not going to make it or anything. But how do you exactly determine if the creators that you sourced are actually the good ones or not? Like, is it more for you about specifically making sure that they are on brand with what you want to do, or targeting the right population, or is it more about like how many people you want to reach?
Yeah, it's like a mix of like, you know, depending on the client, it might be EMV related. So like earned media value and like looking at that of like, obviously EMV is like not promised. So that I totally like, it's important because it like helps show like infiltration within like your share of the market and like where you might be compared across like other companies. But like to me, it's like a very in between number that I don't, you know, if you can't manually do it, then like it's really hard for me to say that it's like this real thing. And then I would also say like obviously total reach of the campaign is like total estimated reach versus total actual. Like I'm someone where depending on the campaign, like, yeah, it's going to be more brand awareness focused. I want to be able to like get the most bang for my buck, but I think it also depends on like the sourcing of which vertical I'm operating in. So it's like, if the vertical is like vertical meaning like the medium I'm trying to work with them in this capacity, it's like for seeding, the goal is obviously brand awareness, but I want to like make sure that I'm working my way through like the funnel of humans that exist. So it's like mean ICP targets, like maybe it's like we're sending to 500 people in a month. Like I want to test like maybe it's just this one main ICP for the month, but there's like sub ICPs that like coexist under that one, and send to them. So I'm working my way across like mid-tier, micro, and nano with a few like macro if they like really, really hit the spot. But like my goal is to always like influence from like the top down. So if I can play in the mid-tier and I know they enjoy it, cool, but I'll equally play at the bottom. But yeah, I think, and then on the paid side, it is like earned media value because I usually have tools to like access that. So like what can they contribute to like the market share within the company? And then obviously like brand alignment of like what's the sentiment towards them? Like are they someone who is like a key validator or like someone that like this group looks up to this person? Yeah.
And last question, for instance, with olive oil, do you recommend
personal questions?
So with olive oil, do you recommend to focus, for instance, on just in the beginning with a niche? Let's just reach out to professional cuisinier chefs.
Yeah.
From the get-go, reach out to all the LA-based people who love to cook or having a nice design. So what would be your recommendation for branding and reaching out to those creators? Is it better to focus on a niche or going broad from the get-go?
Okay. I am someone where it really depends. See, my devil's advocate to that question would be how much inventory do I have?
Mm.
Because then it's like, can I go really broad while also going really niche, which is like what I was able to do, because I was able to like play across cooking, but then go into bakers and then like go into people who like did specific cuisine. I think there's a way of going broad, but you have to work your segmentation out correctly. So if you gave me like 500 units, then I would probably test into like, I could split that up however I want, but it's like, call it 5 different like niches and go really deep on those. And then like maybe each month it's ideally like one key community with like extra support to test into another, and then like scale up from there. So that's like kind of how I think about it.
Okay, last question, I promise.
I'm ready.
So many ideas. Let's speak about celebrities. I've seen more and more partnerships with brands taking off once they give equity to celebrities. What's your thinking about it?
I think that celebrities don't need to be on every brand that exists, and I think that there is, I don't know, it's a loaded question. Yeah, I think that celebrities don't need to be on every brand that exists, and I think like they need to be able to like truly give something to the company, support them, because I feel like there was an era where everyone was like, why did this happen? That made no sense. And like that sometimes like still happens though. But like, I think there's, especially within the beverage space, that's where I'm like, where did this make sense? When you could have just done like a longer partnership, versus like making them like a co-founder. And like, there's been like, you know, because some of these people, and like no knock to celebrities, but it's like some people like aren't the business mind. They just know how to like get the word out. But it's like if they have proof that they can like move the product or like have influence or like whatever, it's different. But I think like there's still this like question mark in my mind where it's like we don't need to like offer everyone a co-founder position. So that, I think that's like my skill, because I've definitely been on brands where they're like, I'm thinking about bringing on this person as maybe a future co-founder, and I'm like, no, you don't need to. Why give up everything that you're building that's working and potentially like ruin it? Because if they do something wrong, like PR wise,
it's done.
It's like like you just shot yourself in the foot. So it's like I've been through a few cases of just like the conversations of like, we want to, and I'm like, there's something else that you can do. I'm just like, not everyone needs to be a co-founder, but it's also that like not every celebrity needs their own brand either. So like and I think we obviously see that with like alcohol and specifically tequila and
yes,
energy drinks, and that like everyone just needs to like do the thing that makes sense for them in a sense that also makes sense for their audience and makes sense at the end of the day with their values. Like J-Lo shouldn't have a tequila company when she doesn't drink. Like, you know, that is my
Thank you so much. We got more questions, but that's for live number 2.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
We did it. Thank you, Kendall.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yes. Have a good week, everyone, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.